Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today we're doing an emergency planting. We're out here in what's not the best weather today. It's a pretty chilly day with some wind, and it is starting to rain right now. You can see it's starting to sprinkle on the pond. Hey fishies, you don't have to leave on my account. The waterfalls are looking a lot better after we cleaned them up last video, but today we're going to add some color around the waterfalls. We do have some nice hyacinths here and some daffodils blooming behind the cold frame. Echo Pup, I found one of your golf balls, bud. You missing that? No? You got one? Bring. Good boy. These daffodils have been open for a while, and we've been getting some cold and warm weather back and forth, so they've actually been taking a beating. But this past week, my dad ended up bringing home a bunch of tulips and hyacinths, and they're going to need put in the ground pretty quick. What are you saying? I think Mumble saw me out here. She was squawking. I don't want to let him out just yet, though. Oh, no. That's unfortunate. Oh, the geyser's back on. Up, up. Anyway, my parents were up at my brother's for Easter, and my dad ended up digging up my brother's hyacinths. They don't care about flowers, so I take all the flowers they have. It's full of water right now because we've been getting a lot of rain. But we have some purple and some white hyacinths in this bag. And in this bag, this looks like a big old tulip leaf. He might have cut it off though when he was digging it up though. Yeah. I don't know, it's not blooming, but it looks like a big old tulip leaf. The hyacinths already started blooming, so they're not going to do their best this year, but once we get them into the ground, they're going to come back nice next year. And then look at all the color over here. We have my daffodils blooming right there, but he brought home a bunch of tulips. We don't have a lot of tulips here on the property, especially ones with big cups like these. But it looks like we have some yellow ones that are almost ready to open up fully, and then these red and the pink ones are fully opened already. They've been closing and opening during the day. You can't smell them, but I can smell these hyacinths pretty well right now. They have a great fragrance coming off of them. One of my favorite smells of flowers. Looks like there is a bluish purple one in there, but mostly pink and a nice big bowl of white ones. Huh, Pop? Come here. Come here, Pop. I want to get a better picture. Might be a thumbnail. Life. Good boy. Good boy. That one works. So since these are all already blooming, I do want to get them in the ground as quick as possible. That's going to keep them blooming the longest. And I want to get them in the garden with the color on them so I know what they're going to look like. I want to try and keep these mostly together in a group so they have the greatest impact of color, but I also want to give them enough space in the garden so they can grow and spread over the next few years. I'm trying to establish my garden so they come back looking better each year, but I have to do less work to get them that way each time. Up, Pop, you ready to plant? I have 3 bags of black mulch here. I can dress them up if I want to make them look really good after we get them planted. And then I also got 6 bags of flower and vegetable garden soil. I mainly got that for my raised beds, but if I need that in an area to plant these flowers, I can use that as well. I want to dress up the waterfalls with some spring color, so we're going to be putting a lot of the flowers here, but I also want to get some color down in the front of the vegetable garden as well. The island back there has a good bit of spring color coming up. I didn't really do any work out in the island garden yet because the chickens still go through there and scratch around, so I don't want to mulch that until I get the chickens put away for the summer. I'm creating a whole new run for the chickens out there, so I'm hoping I can keep them out of my gardens for the summer. Up, Pop. All the flowers are in pots right now, but they are clumped into the pot, so I'll probably be able to separate them out even more once I get them out of the pot. But I'm going to set the pots around so I get an idea of what they're going to look like, where they're going to go. And then we're going to get started on the planting, huh, Pop? Yeah. I think that's pretty good around the pond here. That's adding just enough pop of spring color. And then down at the vegetable garden entrance, I put the white hyacinths and the red tulips. And Echo's laying by some daffodils that we already had planted. Come on, pup. Quit licking your paw. Echo pup cut his paw hunting at the barn yesterday, so he's got to heal up and not lick his paw for a little while. Oh, pup. All right, let's get these planted. So since these are all bulb plants, they're all going to be planted deep, 4 to 6 inches deep. You don't want to be planting them the same that they're in the pot, just like you would a tree or a bush that you'd buy at a nursery. These are bulbs that you need to get planted deep in the soil so they don't freeze in the winter. Hyacinths, tulips, and daffodils are pretty much all the same depth, so we're just going to get all these in the ground and then we can see what they look like. Huh, pup, you going to help? Good boy. So you can see here I just gently separated them out a little bit wider than the pot they were already in. I'm not going to disturb the roots too much while they're in flower mode, and I don't really need to. I want to keep them in a nice tight group. I just want to give them a little bit more space. All right, 1 pot down, over a dozen to go. Come on, pup. What's going on over here, pup? We got to stand this pineapple back up. We don't want any upside down pineapples. And right behind it, we actually have a tulip about to bloom. This one's a light yellow one. Got some weeds trying to take it over. Try and help it out a little bit. Easy. There we go. That's better. But over here we have a drift of yellow tulips. They're about to bloom, so I didn't want to spread these out too much, and I wanted to keep them close together so we can get a good color impact. They're right on the back of the falls from where we look from the patio, so that should be a good backdrop. Just like we have the pink tulips on the backdrop here at the top of the waterfalls, I did have to spread those out into a line because that's all the space I had for them. And on the other side of the waterfalls, I was able to spread out the pink hyacinths a little bit more going down the line, and then we have a nice little cluster of the red tulips too. And I'll give you the view from both sides here. I think it's looking really good. We have just enough for a spring pop of color. I think we have a nice assortment of color going across the pond bank now. I just need to get a good layer of mulch on here to tie it all in. But I want to get the rest of the pots planted first. All right, pup, I'll get your ball. Oh. Good boy. Alright, on the right side of the entrance here, I put a little circle with a white hyacinth with a red tulip in the middle. Don't know why, just figured that would look nice. And then I had 2 extra for making the circle, so I figured I'd plop them right here next to the welcome to my garden sign. And I think that looks good. Hey pup, what are you doing? What are you doing? Tearing up my plastic, huh? Don't eat that. I guess I won't be using that again. Come on, pup. Gotta close the gate, pup, so the chickens don't go in there when I let them out. Put this little kickstand here. We're not real fancy here. Alright, so we have a few flower pots left here. We have a bright orange tulip here. We have some pink hyacinths and a white hyacinth. I'm trying to add a spot of spring color in all the gardens, and we're still lacking in some areas. I'm gonna put some out here in the pergola. I think maybe one right there. That's pretty good. And behind the pergola here next to the hanger, there. I'll split that one and put the pink one over here on the end. And I'm not really lacking color out here in the front, but I don't have any tulips. Might put this one by the farm stand. Yeah. Now the bag of hyacinths and daffodils and probably a tulip in there that my dad got from my brother's house, I'm gonna put up here next to the barn. On the corner of the barn here, I have a little garden area I'm working on. I did build this stone retainment wall last year. This bush here is a witch hazel. It just finished up its bloom. Behind that, I have some type of yellow cypress. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but that's probably going to get pretty big, and I'm going to need to prune that, but it's just getting started in that spot. Hey Sammy. And below that on the corner here, we have a group of yuccas. So I'm just going to be plugging in a few of these to add some spring color up here, and hopefully the birds don't bother them too much. Are you stuck in that fence, girl? Hey Sammy. You're not stuck in there, girl. You just choose to be in there. You're in a little circle. Do you know how to get out? All right, just checking. So I just want to add a little bit of color to this corner, not over there because that's where Echo lays down. So I got to leave that spot open. Some of these got cut off whenever my dad was digging them up. So we probably won't have a full bloom this year, but we might have an idea of what we're going to have next year. I'm going to plop these in the ground before I let all the animals out because they're going to want to come over here and scratch up all the fresh dirt. All right, I got a few in here. I did have to split them up. I got a row right here. I'm not sure exactly what color they are, but they do have buds that are supposed to bloom, so I'm not sure if they're still gonna open. Some of the flower heads were cut off, unfortunately, but I did find two that still had heads on them, one purple and one white for this little spot here. And if the chickens don't destroy them down here, I filled in the rest on this corner. Ladies, stay out of the fresh soil, please. We have some white and blue ones here and some things that don't have any heads on them. So we'll just have a little surprise patch if they survive. Pop. But the birds that do fly are starting to jump the gate, and the ones that aren't are starting to yell at me. So I'm gonna have to open up the gates here for the animals. All right, that's gonna be all for this one. We had to do an emergency spring planting to get some color around the property and save all the pots that my dad brought home. But I love adding color to the property, especially early on. But that's gonna be all for this one. If you wanna keep following along with everything here at Whitt Acres, make sure to subscribe down below. Hit that like button before you leave, and you can see me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching.